Hi guys, and welcome to Hampshire Outdoors and Survival. Mick here. Right, so we did a video, a survival mindset, the other week, and people enjoyed that, and somebody actually got back to me and said it helps them fall asleep. They put it on and listen to it. So, hey, this is for you, and anybody else that's interested, of course. A couple of things I'd like to say. Firstly, yeah, we're getting on towards 1,000 subscribers. When we get to the 1,000 subscribers, somebody is going to get a pack, which is this one here, which will have a small survival kit in it, first aid kit in it, and somebody else will get one of our stove sets. Okay, they'll be sent out to you wherever you are in the world, and the names will be drawn off of a random number generator. Okay, so again, let me know on the comments, are you interested, are you not? Okay, other than that, yeah, I know this is another one from home, and I do apologise. We will be getting out soon. There have been a couple of little reasons why we haven't, but we're going to keep those to ourselves, and there's a lot of planning going on in the background as well. Okay, ooh, ventures to come. So anyhow, this is another survival mindset video, and this is a follow-on from the last one. The last one I covered the absolute basics. If you've not already seen it, go back, have a look, and then come to this one. So anyhow guys, survival mindsets part 2. Let's get on to it. Right, guys, so survival mindsets part 2. Now, the first thing I'd like to say, I'm no expert. Okay, done my research, I've had my adventures, I've spent many years outside. In fact, the majority of my life has been spent outside. Okay, I'm not really an indoors person. This environment, yeah, it's not me. I'd rather be out there. Okay, so I base this on my own experiences. To gain experience, I've learned off of other people. I haven't just sat and watched YouTube. This is based off of meeting, questioning, experiencing with various indigenous groups. This has come from meeting, talking to experts and survival instructors and going on courses and learning and gaining knowledge over many years. Okay, but I'm not an expert. This is just what I've put together for myself that works for me, and imparting that knowledge to you. Take from it what you can, okay, what you can use, discard the rest. Okay, simple as that. I'm not telling you how to do it. I don't believe in that. I think everybody's different and everybody has different mindsets, thoughts and methods. Okay, but if I give you shared mine with you, it might make you go, ooh, that's a good one. Or you might go, do you know what, this bloke doesn't fit for what I want to do. If that's the case, fine, not a problem. Let me know. Okay, so firstly, before we get on with it, I would like to say a big thank you. Okay, I'd like to say a big thank you to Helen and Kat and Terry and Robin. Guys, thank you very much. Your comments I thoroughly enjoy. Okay, I look forward to reading them, and you did make me think about something actually. So yeah, I've had a good scrub up. I've gone through some of my kit and thought about it. You were right. And again, it's one of those things in bushcraft and survival. So we sit there, and everybody likes to see a well-used pot. Everybody likes to see, because it looks like you've been out for years. Okay. Now, the truth of the matter is, okay, that will all come back into what I'm going to be talking to you about shortly. So, okay. So survival mindset. Okay, you've come through your initial disaster, okay? You find yourself wherever you are, whether it's on a mountainside, plane crash, broken down car, out in the forest somewhere, lost, wherever you are, like stuck in the motor in a snowstorm, wherever you are in your situation, you've come through the initial, oh, what are we going to do now? Okay, you've stopped, you've thought about it, you've assessed your situation, you've looked at your environment around you, you've looked at what you can use, you're sitting there now, you've survived, okay? You've survived this far. Now you're looking at, what am I fighting, right? And it is a fight. It's a battle, okay? That's the mindset to have with it, is this is going to be a challenge, it's going to be difficult, it's not going to be nice, it's not going to be easy. And I'm not talking here about, you know what, I'll get my luxury gear out, set up and all the rest of it. If you've got a caravan on the back, brilliant, go to your caravan, put the heater on, put the kettle on. Superb. Okay, in a lot of survival situations, they are that, they're survival. So you're not going to be talking about making yourself super comfortable, right? Although if you can, you do. You're talking about getting through the situation, keeping this body of yours functioning, keeping it alive, okay? So it might not be the most comfortable night, it might be a miserable night, however, compared to not having the systems that you're going to use, you will die, okay? Horrible thought, I know, but that's the mindset to have. I've got to beat this, and I've got to get through it, okay? So, where do we start with that? I've made some notes, because otherwise I lose track, because I'm a waffler, and I'm going to try not to waffle too much in this one. So, survival mindset part 2, what have I got down here? Well, firstly, it breaks down into two things, long-term or short-term survival. In actual fact, I'm going to move that over there so I can get to my cup of tea and I can just glance at it to remind myself where I'm going. Long-term or short-term survival? Okay, short-term survival. I break short-term survival down into 24 hours. Okay? In the event of a lot of the situations that you might find yourself in, it will be short-term survival. Okay? It is about getting through the night, getting through the following day until rescue can get to you. Okay? So you're going to want to be able to keep yourself sheltered, fed, watered, warm in that 24-hour period. Now, depending on your environment, depending on your situation, depending on the vehicle, that's the first thing that comes into it. And in your survival mindset, you've already thought about those conditions, okay? You've thought about where you're going and you're planning ahead for this, okay? And it could be you're going into a desert. Some friends of mine are about to go, or they're planning to do an expedition into the Sahara next year. Might tag along, guys, okay? Make a nice video. It could be in a forested environment, it could be in a mountain environment, a moorland environment, a wetland environment. Whatever the environment is, all these parameters fit exactly the same, okay? So you come through your initial situation, your first thought is shelter, okay? You've got to protect yourself from the environment around you. So if it's a hot environment, you want shade, you want to be out the way. If it's a wet or cold or windy or snowy environment, you want to be sheltered from that. Your initial thought is going to be, what have you got? Have you got the vehicle? Okay, if you've got a vehicle, use the vehicle, okay? If it's a cold environment, think about the vehicle. Think about how the vehicle's designed, okay? If you're in a vehicle and it's very, very cold, one of the things I try and suggest to people is to get up on the seats, okay? Now, if you've got 4 people in a car, this can be a bit of a squeeze, but it does work, okay? You want to lift your feet off the floor. You want to turn, and I know there's going to be a console, gear stick, handbrake and that in the way, but you want to sit with your legs or your feet towards one another, okay? You want to sit that way on so that you can spread out reasonably long, but get your feet up off the floor. In a vehicle, the floor becomes a cold sink. The cold drops, the heat rises, okay? Seats are full of foam, they're normally well padded, okay? So your body heat will be protected from that. You're also then sharing warmth with somebody else. All your blood circulation goes through your feet, so if your feet are against somebody else's body, okay, you're drawing warmth from them. You're also imparting any warmth you have to them. You then use coats, jackets, blankets, whatever you've got to cover yourself, so you're sharing that warmth, okay? And leave the floor as a cold sink, okay? And same thing in the back seat, right? Turn, lift your feet up, share one another's body heat, stay warm, stay comfortable, okay? Now I have had people say to me, oh, ideally you want to turn your backs to one another and have your backs, if you've got a vehicle big enough to do that, I agree, do that. Turn your backs to one another, share your body heat, okay? In most vehicles, it's not going to be wide enough. It's going to be just about wide enough for you to turn around, put your back against the door. Now bear in mind the glass is not good insulator. So anything you've got that you can pad that glass out with, do so. Don't lean back against the window. Oh yeah, my feet are lovely and warm, but back of my head's getting a bit chilly. Try and protect yourself from the cold. Okay, use that as shelter. Again, think about the reverse. If it's really hot, okay, you don't necessarily want to be in the car. Cars become ovens. Open the doors. Can you sit outside alongside the vehicle in the shady area? By opening the doors, you'll create a through draft. In the night, in most hot environments, the temperature is going to plummet. You're going to return to the vehicle and use the vehicle to shelter yourself. Okay, so there you go. And stay with your vehicle. Okay, vehicles are easily spotted by aircraft. They're easily spotted by rescue parties and search parties. If you haven't got these things, you need to start thinking about your kit. Have you got a poncho? Okay, have you got a tarp? How can you use that? Do you have a survival bag? You've got to straight away start thinking about how do I protect this from the environment around me. Now, I can sit here for hours and talk about shelters, but basically, use your imagination. You've got to protect yourself, okay? Get yourself out of that shelter. Your next thing's going to be fire, okay? Now, you're in a survival situation. Think about this. Fire. Fire gives light, it gives warmth, it helps to protect you, okay? It keeps animals at bay. It makes you feel calmer, relaxed, okay? It's also a signalling system, okay? So you can use the fire to indicate to people you're there. Fire is more visible by night, okay? Smoke is more visible by day. So at the end of the day, if you've got a good fire going and you're keeping a good fire going, if you've got the environment and the tools to use, brilliant, okay? I hear you say, Mickey, but what if I'm in a desert environment? Okay, you're in a desert environment. You've got a vehicle. It's got fuels. It's got oils. Okay, it will have a toolkit. Okay, even if it's just a basic toolkit, even if it means puncturing the sump, draining the oil out of the sump. Okay, you can always find something, even a bag, something to collect that oil in. Okay, now you ideally want to find a container if you've got one. If not, you're going to do this in the ground. But you are going to make a pit. You're going to soak it with that oil, that fuel, whatever you've got, okay? And you're going to ignite it. Yeah. If you're using fuel like petrol or diesel, one of the tips I'll give you there is find the fuel line, okay? Find the fuel line, unplug it, drain out a litre of fuel, light your fire. The tank will hold the rest of the fuel. You can keep going back to that as a reserve and keep topping it up. And that fuel mixed with the sand will burn for a long time. It's called a Benghazi burner. It was used during the Second World War to cook food on, prepare food and all sorts. Okay. Now alongside that, I would try and get the spare wheel off. If I can get the spare wheel off, that is one of the best smoke sources you're going to find, and it will burn for a long time. Okay. You don't want to inhale the smoke, obviously. And another tip I will give you is puncture that wheel. Okay. Don't just put the tyre on the rim on the fire, it will explode. Okay, so you take a knife, screwdriver, any implement you've got, puncture it so that as the air expands in it, it can escape. Okay, so you're now signalling. If you're in a wooded environment, you're going to have to go to the resources around you. Okay, if you're not with a vehicle, likewise again, you're going to have to look at the resources around you. You're going to look at what you can use. There are 150,000 fire lighting videos covering different scenarios and that out there. Okay, look them, study them. I've used everything over the years, from taking my knife and shaving bits of rubber off the heel of my boot. Okay, using that as an ignition source. There are 100 ways to do it. When you think about fire, here's one I don't see many people talking about. People sort of do great demonstrations on fire lighting. They do great demonstrations on getting a fire going. Okay, so fire requires spark. Okay. It then requires ignition. It then requires tinder. And from tinder you go to fuel. Okay. So you're going to need an ignition source. Now there are 150,000 ways again of having an ignition source, but with a little bit of preparation and forethought, you can give yourself an advantage. You can carry a cigarette lighter. You can carry matches. That's my first go-to for an emergency situation. You can carry a small fire bag. Okay, you can carry a little tin like that. Now, in a tin like that, and I on a lot of the kits that I get people or I show people, it's a little tin like that, and inside that tin, I've then got little tiny individual Ziploc bags, and they are tiny. They literally only take 2 cotton wool balls squeezed in, which I've pre-soaked with Vaseline. Now, a friend of mine's video recently, he was saying about not using that sort of thing, but that's great if you're doing bushcraft. I'm talking about survival. I'm talking about I have to make a fire. I have to get a fire going. I must protect myself from the environment. Okay, if that's going to be a situation, if you're going to be launching yourself into those sort of things, that's the sort of thing to carry, because what that will do, that will cover your ignition. It's not going to cover your fire. It is your ignition source. Okay, so I fluff up cotton wool mixed with Vaseline and I put a spark to it. Okay, worst case scenario, my backup is always a ferro rod. Got them placed all over the place, in the vehicle, in the kits, carried on me. I've got a big one. Ferro rods, cheap and easy to get, will always make a spark, wet or dry. Okay, so that's my backup. My initial resource is a cigarette lighter. Okay, so I set fire to the cotton wool ball. The cotton wool ball ignites. That is ignition. I now have an easy, quick flame. Okay, I'm then going to tinder, and tinder I've already looked around, resourced, found. If need be, if it comes singling with a vehicle, you're going to use things like material out of the car. Think about a car, think about what burns in it. Carpets, seat covers, there are any number of things that will burn that will create smoke. Great for singling by day. A lot of these things are quite flammable. Yes, they give off toxic fumes, you've got to be aware of that. But if you're in a snowy, cold, wet environment, using that rubber floor mat cut into strips to start your fire is going to give you the edge. You're going to create enough heat there to dry out the tinder, to get your initial fire going. Once you've got a good base to a fire, you're pretty much laughing. Okay, you can then move up in the sticks, and I've burnt quite damp wood in the past. It makes a slow fire, but you can do it with a little bit of thought. Okay. Excuse me, let's swig a bit of tea. This giving up smoking locks, killing me. So, have a think about your fire. Okay, now, my friend's video was an excellent video, and he was talking about fat wood. Fat wood is superb. Okay, if you can source fat wood, carry it. It's a great resource to have, but use it sparingly. Okay, again, because I might be surviving tonight thinking I'm going to be rescued tomorrow, but it might progress on. Okay, so I can get 20 cotton wool balls in there. That's 20 fires. Okay, if you look at your bit of fat wood, think how many fires can I initially start with that? Okay, how easy does it light? How long is it going to last me? If you've got a good resource, you've got a good stack of fat wood, go with it. But again, find the method that suits you and practice the method. Practice it in all environments. Okay, so you're sheltered, you've got your fire going. So now you're sitting back and you're thinking to yourself, we got this, we've got this. Okay, I had 24 hours, gonna need some water. Okay, now you've got to start thinking about how you're going to manage that, because you're going to get thirsty. Now, it might be that you've got water with you. If you've thought about this beforehand, if you're going on an expedition, you're going camping, you're going hiking, it may be that you haven't. So now you've got to start thinking about water. Now, you can gain water many ways. If you're in a good old Blighty here, it's always raining, so water's not a problem. I would start taking bits of material, cloth, hanging it up in places where it's going to get wet. As a friend of mine once did, get up on the roof of the vehicle, jumping up and down on the roof a couple of times, okay, bowed the roof in. It was brilliant. Okay, rained through the night, we ended up with about 2 litres of water in a dent in the roof. Hire company wasn't impressed, but hey, got us out of the situation. Okay, but again, look around, what have I got to collect water in? Okay, am I going to go to a local stream? What's the stream look like? It's 24 hours. Is it life or death? Am I that dehydrated? You've got to start thinking about these processes, okay? You've got to start thinking, right, I understand filtering. I can use cloth to filter the initial sediment, bits and pieces out and that. I can use layers of cloth. Okay, I can adapt and make a filter, not a problem at all, because I know how to do that because I'm a good survivalist. I can then boil it. What have I got to boil it in? You start looking around. Okay, now if you're of the survival mindset, in that vehicle you're going to have a bag anyhow. Okay, so you're going to have your little tiny cook set. You might have your pot in there. You're probably going to have a litre or two of water in there. In actual fact, a lot of the time when I'm out and about, I've got 5 litres of water in the car just in case the car needs it. Okay, go to that. Okay, it's tap water. I know the container it's in, and again, you have to be realistic about this. So you think about the container. Okay, in actual fact, the container I quite often carry is one of these Ridge Monkey containers. Prior to having the Ridge Monkey, again, which I bought cheaply, second hand, off Facebook Marketplace, that came up for 15 quid, I grabbed it. Prior to that, my go-to was a petrol can that had never had petrol in it. Okay, I bought myself a black diesel fuel can, okay, and I put a white strip around it, marked it up water. Okay, now that water was topping up the car. That water was topping up windscreen wipers. That water was emergency water in case that I needed it. Okay, because I know it's tap water. Okay, if I boil it, it's going to be safe enough for me to drink. It's not going to have any chemicals in it. It's not going to have any heavy metals in it or anything like that. 5 litres of water in there, keep me and the missus going for days. Okay, so that gives you your head start. Okay, so you've got to think with that sort of mindset. If not, you've got to gather it from what you've got around you. Next is food. If you're a foraging king, you'll probably laugh at, because you can probably look around you and go, do you know what, I can see 20 or 30 things I can eat here, right? And you're going to go to that. If you're of a survival mindset, you've always got some scoff in the car, right? You've always got the things in the car tucked away in the glove box, just in cases. Okay, if you've got your kit with you, you might have a couple of days of food. You might be preparing to go up the mountains. So again, you've got to think like that. But if you have to sort of think with the mindset of what do I need, what have I got, okay, and think what ifs all the time. What ifs. Always in the car there's a first aid kit. Always in the car there's my emergency kit. Always in the car there's a bit of food. Okay, simple things. All in the bags with a long shelf life. I like to keep them in the car with self-heating packs, 3 or 4 of those. So I can keep myself and Kaz warm food for several days. Okay. Again, you might have to ration your calorie intake, but you're not going to be moving. You're going to be staying there. Okay. You're waiting to be rescued. Now, alongside your fire and your shelter, you've also got to think about signals. Okay. So again, the fire is a signal. You can also mark out a signal in the ground. You can place sticks, you can place stones, you can do anything you want, okay, as long as it makes you obvious. A big arrow pointing to where you are. If you're sheltering in a tree line, okay, a big arrow out there just pointing to you. Anybody that's doing a search pattern is going to fly over it and go, there's a big bloody arrow down there. That's a bit strange, but have a second look at that. It's going to give you a chance to run out and go, we're here, okay, or throw the tyre on the fire and start the smoke rising, okay. So again, signals, make yourself obvious. Okay, we all think of things like signal mirrors and that, but if you hear that aircraft coming, by the time you've run out, spotted the aircraft, aligned the mirror and that, has it gone? Okay, so you've got to try and make yourself as obvious as possible. Not going to go into signalling in depth because again, it's something you can research. There are many methods: a simple big arrow, an SOS. 3 lines. Okay. Again, think about your audible rescue system. Okay, have a whistle. Okay, if the guys are on the next ridge line and you can see people up there, they might be a search party, they might not. But if you start blowing on that whistle repeatedly, okay, they're going to be eventually they're going to sit there and go, what the hell's going on? There's something funny down there. Oh, hang on, that bloke down there, you can see him in the distance blowing a whistle and he's waving his arms. Must be a problem. Shall we go and have a look? Okay. Rescue forces or rescue services, which are mostly volunteers in the UK, in fact I think they're all volunteers in the UK, okay, they'll find you. They're looking for that clue, the simple clue to find that person to rescue them. Okay. You have to think about food. Okay. It's not. I say it's not a priority. Of course, it's a priority. Yeah, I like my scoff, but yeah, you can go hours with no food. You can go days with no food if you really have to. Okay. Another thing you got to think about is medical. Have you been injured in the situation? If somebody's injured, treat it. Okay. Even if it's just wrapping a bandage around it, simple treatments do a great deal because again it picks up morale. It stops somebody looking at the injury thinking, I'm done. Okay, sort them out. Be confident in sorting them out. Even if inside you're flapping like a panic, right? Outside you've got to stay calm because that gives them the confidence that you know what you're looking at, that you're experienced, that you're going to get them through this. Okay. Worst thing you can ever do to a casualty is look at him and go, I think you're fucked, mate. Yeah? Because they lose the will. And again, it comes back to what we were saying in the previous video, the will. You've got to give them that will. Yeah, you're alright, mate. Yeah, I've seen worse than that. God, blimey, we'll get that covered up. I know it looks a bit rough, but yeah, you'll be fine. Don't panic. Okay? So, and alongside that also comes in hygiene. Okay? If you've got your survival kit, if you've got your food kit, if you've got your gear packed, having things like some wet wipes so that you can clean your hands off because you've just put your hand down on the ground and accidentally put it in something, whether it's animal feces, maybe a bit of spill from the vehicle, a bit of chemical. Okay, get it off, get it clean. Okay, you may, in your survival situation, need to go and do something in the woods. Okay, you may need to take your shovel and do a recce. Okay, having something like that, it's just simple hand wipes and things like that, will save you. Okay, it will stop you becoming ill. It will make you feel better. The other thing is being able to get up in the morning and freshen yourself up. Okay, makes you feel a lot better. It makes you feel a bit more normal. It makes it feel good. There's nothing worse in this world than being covered in grease or oil or camo cream or anything like that. It's just making you feel minging. You just feel grotty. Pick yourself up. It's morale. Morale assists the will. It helps you all through that situation. Now, when we're talking about hygiene, we're not just talking about personal hygiene. You've also got to think about camp hygiene. So again, well, we're going to be here for a while. I tell you what, guys, that's the personal admin tree. If you need to go and do something, go and do it over there. Yeah, have a quick squiz around, make sure it's not going to interfere with the water source. Okay, if you've got a shovel or you're equipped in your vehicle, okay, put the shovel over there. Okay, simple as that. I keep a toilet roll in the car. Put the shovel and a toilet roll over there. Put the toilet roll in a bag, obviously, so that it's kept dry. But yeah, leave it there. Then everybody knows where it is. Everybody can go. There's nothing worse than having to go, I need to go and have a wee, or I need to go and have a poo. Okay. You think about this, people can go and do what they need to do and have a bit of privacy doing it. Okay. Again, that's keep yourself clean. Yeah, make sure those are clean. You don't want to go down with anything nasty. Pots and pans, keep those clean. Okay. You're going to be boiling water. Now, one of the things I do, you very rarely see me prepare food actually in a mess tin. Okay. It's something I don't do, and the reason I don't do it is quite simple. They're aluminium. Now, I've got food in an aluminium pan, like I'm making a stew in there. And don't get me wrong, if it was a survival situation, there's no other choice, I'm going to use it. But I try and plan not to have to put knives in there, cut food up in there, cook food in there, again, because it's aluminium. Aluminium's not a it's a great lightweight metal, and it's great to carry, but it leaches. Okay, there's aluminium toxicity. There's a lot of research going on to it. It's been aligned with things like Alzheimer's and that. Okay, the use of aluminium's been with us for a while now in cookware and stuff, and they're starting to look at it and go, oh, okay, we're finding links. Now, I only know about this looking into it because of an illness that a family member has. So I don't like it. Boil water in it, not a problem. Put a boil in the bag in it, not a problem. The bag is contained. I'm not ingesting it. Okay, boil water in it because yes, I can. However, personally, it's stainless steel. Okay, it's a bit more weight, but it's easier to keep clean. And yeah, you can see some marking on that. Okay, that's the actual stainless steel is marked up. It darkens up when it gets hot. But again, keep that clean. I can boil water in that. I can make a brew in that. Okay, I can purify things in that. I can put get 2 or 3 boiling the bags in that if I fold them up. It's got a lid. Okay, it does me. So I'd rather carry that myself than a mess tin. And that keeps you going. So that's short-term survival. Long-term survival. Long-term survival. So what can I say about that? Think about history. Okay, there's nowhere in this world you can't survive. Okay, anywhere that man has existed, you can survive. It's a simple fact. But you normally have to revert to old techniques, and this is where your bushcraft can come in handy. The fact that you know how to make a fire using friction is a bonus in long-term survival. It's a case you are going to be there days, months, years possibly. Okay, you're trapped on the desert island scenario. So you then go back to your bushcraft. Okay, you're going to build a permanent shelter. You're going to have a fire source which you will probably endeavour to keep going night and day. Okay, you'll need to understand how to use your resources so you don't burn everything you've got on the island, okay, or in the wood. So your day's going to be made up of collecting firewood, processing firewood, perfecting your shelter. Never stop. Never sit there with a shelter and say it's done. Okay, constantly keep improving it. You're going to spend your day foraging. You're going to be looking for what you can eat. Okay, that's going to be a priority. Within the first few days, hopefully you've secured yourself a water source. Okay, once you've found yourself your water source, if it's a small stream, a bit of a trickle, a bit of a dribble, okay, you're going to prepare a bowl. You're going to create a pond. You're going to create somewhere where the water level is held. Okay, somewhere where you've got a resource you can go back to and you can dip in, take it. You're still going to think about filtering it, but you're going to make your filter. You're going to use what you have around you to make a decent water filter system because you know you're going to be there for a long time. Okay, you're going to filter that water. You're going to boil it. Again, you've got to keep that fire going, and you've got to look back at historical techniques. How did our ancestors do it? Okay, how did the first guys that migrated to them in the Americas? How did they survive? How did the guys? The frontiersmen, how did they manage? What methods did they use? Okay, you've got to go back to that. What did our Iron Age ancestors use? Our Bronze Age ancestors use? Yeah. So you get historical methods, techniques, and systems. You're only here today because your ancestors, and that is your ancestors, practiced and understood these techniques, or they would have died from disease. The gene pool for your bloodline would have come to an end and you wouldn't be here. So again, it's all ancient knowledge, and I could rattle on for hours about techniques, methods and systems, but I'm not. I'm just trying to give you some pointers so you can go, oh, hang on, I might go off and research that. I might go and look into this and look into that. But again, the short-term survival is exactly the same as the long term, but the long term is you're extending it. Okay, your initial shelter you build will probably be a simple one-man or group shelter big enough for your group. You're eventually going to get to the point where we're going to be here for a very long time, so let's have some individual shelters. Okay, everybody likes a little bit of personal space occasionally, so you start to work like that. Okay, you literally create yourself a little village. Okay, you look at wildlife. Okay, you're going to have to start looking at trapping. Okay, if you're lucky enough to be on a coastline, you're laughing. Okay, in any coastline there is always a resource that you can use, whether it be shellfish, whether it be using fish, maybe making tidal traps, setting fishing lines, spearing in the shallows. Remember, a lot of fish will move in on the incoming tide. Okay, and then follow the tide out. The most common place to find fish on a beach is in the surf. Okay, because everything's getting stirred up. That's where the food is, that's where the plenty of oxygen is, that's where the resources are, so that's where the fish are feeding. Okay, and when I say fish, I mean fish that you can handle. It's no good trying to catch yourself a shark. One, big bitey thing. Two, okay, it's going to go bad before you can use it all, unless you really practice and understand techniques of smoking and storing and so on. But you'll grab every resource you can and use it. Okay, trap birds. Birds are quite easy to trap. Okay, you'll start looking at rodents. You'll start looking at ground-dwelling animals. Insects. Insects are easy to gather up. Great sources of protein. Okay, have to be careful with them. It's great if you've got knowledge of what the insects are eating. Are they eating a toxic plant? Things I tend to avoid are things like caterpillars. Okay, they eat leaves, they ingest toxins from the leaves, and again, it can do you a lot of damage. Okay. But you're going to have to adapt, and you're going to have to find what works, and it depends on what environment, where you are in the world. You're also going to constantly think about escape, okay, in your survival system. So, are you somewhere where you can walk out? Now, if you've been there 2 months and nobody's found you in 2 months, are you going to? You then got to think, oh, we're going to stay here. We're going to push on. Okay, you've got to look at your health, your condition, how your resources are. You've got to look at the environment you're in. You should have a good idea of where you are in the world. So you've got to look at the environment and think, what resources do I take with me? Right? What can I carry? What have we built that we can take with us? Okay. If need be, right, we're going to give ourselves 2 weeks to build up stores. We're going to gather everything we can and build up a resource of meat. Okay, we're going to smoke and dry the meat. Okay, we're going to gather some of the bits and pieces we can from around us. Are we going to walk around the beach and follow the coastline, which is always a good method? Okay, or are we going to head inland because we know there is nothing on the beach for 20 miles or 120 miles that way, 120 miles that way, but we know there's a town 30 miles that way. You've got to have that mindset to it. Okay, I always preach stay put if you can. Okay, but there are situations in this world where the only way you're going to come through it is to walk out. Not many, but there are. So you have to be sensible about it. You have to think, it's no good starting walking on the first day if Johnny's got a sprained ankle. Rest him up 3 or 4 days if you can. If you spend that time, rest him up, then walk him out in the best condition you can. Okay. Always, when you're escaping, leave marks, leave signs. Okay. If you've just left your lovely beach shelter with your SOS on the beach and somebody finds it, right, they're going to be looking at that going, where they've gone. Okay. If you can leave an indicator of any sort that says pretty much we've gone this way, okay, and then you mark on your way out whether it's notching trees, whether it's leaving arrows made of stones on the path, whether it's placing sticks and arrows, but just some sort of indicator to show the way you've gone and the route you're on and where you're going. So when you come to a junction or you change direction, make sure you've got an indicator there. We've gone this way. Okay, you might get overtaken by a search party. They're probably in better condition than you are. Okay, people are going to find you, track you down. It's no good walking around in the middle of somewhere like the Amazonian rainforest, because you can walk for weeks, months, days, years, okay, and never be found. It's happened. Okay. Long-term survival, yeah, if you can be in a group, be in a group. It will help you. Morale, you can bounce off one another. Okay, but again, you've got to be aware of defeatists. You've got to keep that lack of will, that defeatism out. It's like a cancer, it grows. Okay, when people do courses in the military and a lot of other organisations, especially really tough courses, right, they will say to people, if you decide to jack, if you decide you've had enough, let the instructors know, and they're taken away immediately. Okay, they're not given a chance to go back and go, see you later guys, I've jacked it, I've given up. Okay, it's like a cancer, it spreads very quickly. Other people will start to go down with it. Okay, same thing in a survival situation. You've got to try and keep that morale up. You've got to try and get that confidence that we're going to get through this up. Keep people busy. Okay, give them jobs to do. Everybody's got a job to do. Constantly, hey, you've done a cracking job there. You've done a cracking job. Even if you think they haven't, you've done a good job there. You've got to keep that morale up. You've got to stay positive. Okay, because it takes very, very little for one person to go, do you know what, we're not going to get through this. Okay, and as soon as that starts, you've got to nip it in the bud, because it will spread. People give up the will very, very easily. Okay, human beings are a bit like sheep that way. So keep it up, keep the positivity up. If you've got somebody that is really, really down, really, really, they're don't let them pull the others down. Okay. Once did a talk on it with a group that were in a mountain environment, and they come to the point where they were lucky enough rescued, but they were at the point of abandoning somebody, because this guy was just like, we're all going to die, we're all going to die, non-stop, and it was pulling other people down. And the other guys, or the guys that knew what they were doing, realised that he was going to kill other people. People were starting to say, yeah, you're right, maybe you should just sit here and give up, right? So just don't let that in. Do not let it in. Okay, learn old skills, learn old knowledge. Okay, our ancestors came through it all. You can come through it all. The knowledge of using a sharp piece of flint, knowing how to break a piece of stone to get an edge. Okay, sounds daft, but you can use it. Okay, piece of glass. Okay, break the mirror on a car. You've got a sharp edge. Okay, so again, it's just thinking outside the box and gaining as much knowledge as you can. Guys, that's my thoughts on short and long-term survival. I know, like I say, I could go on and on and on about this for hours and hours and hours, but that's only methods that would suit me. You've got to find what methods suit you. You've got to think about it in practical terms. Okay, we all see on the videos bug out bags. Okay, I don't necessarily like the term bug out bag. I'm not bugging out. Okay, look at what I've got around me in resources. Ideally, I'm staying here. Okay, I have shelter, I have supplies, I have equipment. Okay, I have my physicality. Right, so I'd stay here if I can, if it was safe for us to do so. Okay, and you've got to think about having that with you on your travels. Okay, and I'm not talking massive kits. Okay, in your car, it's a simple kit like that. That's a simple brew kit. Okay, there's a little cooker in there. You've all seen it. It's my little setup. Right, it's something to boil water in. It's something to heat drinks in. And again, it may be a case of you haven't got drinks to go round everybody, or a cup for everybody. Does that really matter? If you're really, really cold and you're all sat sharing a space, a single mug of hot chocolate passed round. Okay? Are you sharing it? You're all getting through the experience. You start to laugh and to joke about it. You start having a bit of fun with it. I say a bit of fun with it, but you start to try and keep your morale up. Having sharing a nice cup of hot chocolate on a very cold night is nothing like it. It's friendship. You start keeping one another warm. Get your humour going. Tell stories. Have a laugh and have a joke. Right? Stay positive. But a simple little kit like that. Okay. That has 2 or 3 granola bars in it. Okay. It has enough tea and coffee in there, and again, simple coffee sachets mixed with whitener. They're not the nicest thing in the world. I love a filter coffee. I like a decent cup of tea, but again, they pack away to nothing. So in an emergency, I've got a warm drink. Okay, I've got a hot drink, and when somebody says to me, "Oh, I've got sugar in it. I don't drink sugar. Do you want a warm bloody drink or not?" Okay, I even keep a couple of Oxos in there. Okay? One of the things we discussed recently with a very good friend of mine, she's vegetarian, and we were talking about this, and as she said, she's vegetarian. Okay, she's chosen not to eat meat. However, in a survival situation, if push come to shove and there was nothing else, right, even though she feels it would probably make her feel a bit ill and she would feel extremely guilty about it, she would eat it because at the end of the day she wants to survive. Okay, so yeah, if you've got vegetarians, maybe pack something in there that's vegetarian. But if real push comes to shove, yeah, you would. Okay, simple as that. And if you wouldn't, without wishing to sound harsh, and I'm not knocking anybody's moral values, well, fool you. Okay, because there is a moral high ground and there is the survivor high ground. Okay, and you and what I would like to think everybody is here is a survivor. So that's just the next step. That's a bit of a natter. That's for my mate to listen to when he's sitting there nodding off. Hopefully that's given some sensible information. Hopefully you've enjoyed it. Give me your thoughts and your comments. Okay, let me know what you think. Let me know, do you want to hear more stuff like this? Do you want me to go more in depth into certain things? Okay, yeah, just hit me up and let me know. Anyhow, guys, join us on a Sunday night, 2000 hours for our live stream. Okay, it's a waffle basically. We talk about almost anything that comes up. The subject is led by you guys. Okay, we have a laugh and a joke. Okay, we call it a night in the pub because it's just a social time. I sit there and I have my 1 can of beer a week or bottle of cider, and I allow myself my 1 cigar a week, or maybe 2. Okay, but it's the only time of the week I smoke now. I've cut the cigarettes out. I'm now 2 weeks in. I haven't had a cigarette at all. Okay, so the only time I smoke is on a Sunday evening, and hence I'm coughing. Yeah, guys, I'm waffling now. So where are we? Please like, please comment. If you haven't subscribed, please do. There's lots of videos on there covering all sorts of ideas, subjects, methods, techniques and equipment. Saying that, got a review coming up, second hand, but yeah, 40 litre bag there. I'll be reviewing that in the next week or so. Guys, take it easy, be good. Think about your survival techniques, think about your bushcraft, think about your prepping, think about your methods. It's all good mindset. Stay safe, have your adventures, have fun, look after yourselves. Love those you do, forgive those you don't, and as always, peace and light be upon you all. This is Mickey, Hampshire Outdoors and Survival and the Hampshire Hog Hunters, wishing you well